8. I'm 80. The woman outside my wedding room knew more than I did. Don't cry where he can hear you. The woman says it through the pine door, so softly I almost think the wind pushes the words under it. I'm barefoot on a braided rug that scratches my heels, and the room is too cold for June. The lamp flame keeps bending left. There's no window open. Her name is Miriam, and she waits in the hall with a folded towel over one arm, like she knows something I don't, like everyone does. I press both palms against my skirt because they won't stop shaking. The cloth is stiff with starch, and one pearl button near my ribs catches on a loose thread. Behind me, Eli pulls at the seam of his left sleeve. Once, twice, again. Neither of us speaks. Outside, a buggy wheel knocks against the stone step, then rolls away. The floorboard by the washstand gives one small pop, though nobody stands on it. I think that's the worst sound in the room. No, that's not true. The worst sound comes when Miriam whispers, "You'll understand soon," and walks away. I want to open the door. I want to ask why she has the towel, why my mother tells me only to obey, why Eli looks as lost as I feel. But I don't. That's the thing nobody tells you. Silence can enter a room before a person does. I'm 80 now, and my body still remembers that night. Quick pause. My name is Sarah, and this is Rebecca Amish Home. If these stories stay with you and make you feel less alone, subscribe. It's free, and it keeps these voices heard. Tell me in the comments, what were you expected to understand without being taught? And if you want to go further, a super chat or membership is you saying these voices matter. Now, back to what happened. Miriam's footsteps faded down the hall beneath dishes clattering in the summer kitchen. In our Ordnung, a wife didn't ask what marriage would require of her body. She trusted. That was the word used for what a girl wasn't allowed to understand. Trust your father. Trust the bishop. Trust the man whose name would be written beside yours in the family Bible. The teaching came through sermons about obedience, but nobody sat me down and said, "Your body belongs last to you." Nobody had to. I knew it from the way Aunt Lena stopped laughing when the men entered, and from the red mark Mama's thumb left on my wrist the one time I asked why married women whispered. I was 14. The beans were boiling over in the gray enamel pot, and she looked at the stove instead of me. That's the thing nobody tells you. A rule doesn't need words once it lives in everyone's face. It lived in the small parts of the day. Girls changed clothes with their backs turned, even as sisters, and women spoke of childbirth as if babies arrived through prayer and hot water. When a bride returned to church, nobody asked whether she was well. They watched how low she kept her eyes. I remember my cousin Anna after her marriage, her right hand pressed against the hard bench while we sang, "Where the Soul Never Dies." She missed every third note. I nearly leaned over and asked what happened, but grandmother lifted her chin 1 inch, and I swallowed the question. That was how shame worked among us. No shouting, just a pause long enough to make curiosity feel dirty. Ruth once asked at sewing circle whether a wife could tell her husband no when she was sick. The treadle machine clicked twice after every foot stopped. By supper, Ruth's mother had taken her home. 3 years later, when my own wedding was set, I still didn't know the answer. My sister Mary pulled me behind the smokehouse 12 days before the wedding. 12. I used to say 11, but it was 12 because the lilacs had opened, and Mama made us shake beetles from them before breakfast. Mary held a basket of damp clothespins at her hip and gave me 9 words. Be still, pray quietly, and don't make him ashamed. That was all. I counted them later while kneading bread, 1 knuckle for each word. Mary wouldn't meet my eyes. She rubbed the pale burn inside her wrist until the skin went white. I asked whether it would hurt. She said, "Most things do at first," then went back to the line and hung a small shirt by its shoulders. Eli had been told even less. His brother Jacob slapped him between the shoulder blades and said a husband would know what to do when the door closed. Two frightened people were sent into that room and told instinct would become wisdom. I'd known Eli at 16, when he brought a lame mare to my father's barn and stayed after dark to wrap her swollen leg. He wasn't bold. That was why I trusted him. He spoke to animals before touching them, and on cold mornings he warmed the bit in his palm so it wouldn't shock the horse's mouth. Once, during a barn raising, he saved me the corner of an apple cake because he knew I liked the burnt sugar. He carried it in a clean handkerchief, though the icing stuck to the cloth, and we laughed until I snorted. I loved him. I think I loved him. I don't know whether I knew love beyond feeling safe when his wagon came around the bend. He was 23 when we married. No, 24. I always get that wrong, because his birthday came after harvest. The Tuesday before the wedding. Yes, Tuesday, because the bread was rising. He admitted he feared disappointing me. I told him there was nothing to fear. That lie came from love and ignorance together. The women prepared my new life except the part behind the closed door. Mama packed 2 quilts, 6 towels, 3 nightgowns, and a jar of goose grease for cracked hands. Aunt Lena taught me how to stretch soup when food ran low. At the quilting bee, women tucked coins into my apron and told me to keep Eli's shirts white, his meals warm, and my voice soft when he came home tired. Nobody named fear. Nobody said I could ask him to stop, or that he could ask what I wanted. Miriam came nearest. She was Mama's cousin, 42 then, with a narrow scar beside her mouth and hands that smelled of lye soap. While pinning my veil, she opened her lips as if a sentence stood behind them. Then Bishop Amos entered for a chair, and whatever she might have said disappeared. That evening, before the sun went down, she placed the folded towel outside our wedding room. The room was no bigger than the pantry at home. A kerosene lamp sat on a washstand with one leg shortened by a folded church bulletin, and its light made the white wall look yellow, almost bruised. The walnut bed was high enough that my calves touched the frame when I sat, and the mattress sighed with every shift. Someone had tucked lavender under the pillow, but all I smelled was lamp oil, starch, and pine soap. Outside, men hitched the last buggies. Leather creaked. A horse stamped 3 times. The June night had turned cold, and goose flesh rose beneath my cream nightgown with tiny blue stitches at the collar. Eli stood near the door in his undershirt, working the seam of his left sleeve, though the shirt had no sleeve left to pull. He looked like the boy I once saw waiting for a teacher to notice a broken window. Not guilty. Lost. I wanted to comfort him, which is strange, because I was the one whose teeth wouldn't stop touching. He asks whether I'm tired. I say no too quickly, and the word lands between us like a dropped spoon. His hands hang at his sides, then fold, then open. Mine stay flat on my skirt even after remembering I'm no longer wearing it. We both watch the lamp as if it might give instructions. Jacob said, he begins, then stops. I ask what Jacob said. Eli's ears turn winter red. Nothing useful. I almost laugh. The mattress gives a long sigh when he sits, leaving the width of his hand between our knees. He asks, "Is this all right?" And I don't know what this means. Sitting, touching, being married. I nod, because nodding is what I've learned to do when a man speaks gently. That's the thing nobody tells you. Obedience can look exactly like agreement from across a room. Up close, it feels like your tongue has been tied with thread. His hand moves. I stop breathing. He touches my shoulder first, and the rough skin near his thumb catches on the cloth. "You're shaking," he says. I tell him I'm cold. He reaches for the quilt, then stops as if he remembers the night is meant to follow a path neither of us can see. "Sarah, I don't want to frighten you." His voice breaks. I want to pull away and move closer at the same time, because this is Eli, who warmed a horse's bit. and also a stranger at something my body fears. He kisses my forehead, my cheek. My jaw tightens until it aches near my ear. When he tries to continue, my fingers close around the quilt, and one nail bends backward. "Wait," I whisper. He freezes. For 1 second, I think the word is enough. Then he asks, "Did I do it wrong?" Shame rises hotter than fear. I say no, I'm sorry. So we continue, slowly, with neither of us knowing that pain is information, not duty. I won't give you details my younger self would have kept covered. I'll tell you what matters. My body resists, and I treat that resistance like sin. Eli stops twice because he sees my face, and twice I tell him to keep going, because Mary's words beat inside my head. Be still. Pray quietly. Don't make him ashamed. Are you sure? He asks. I say yes, while my heels press into the mattress, and my eyes fix on a black knot in the ceiling beam, shaped like a bird. The lamp ticks softly. Downstairs, a plate slips and someone laughs, as if the whole house has agreed this is ordinary while my body tries to leave it. He isn't rough. I need you to understand that. He's careful in the only ways he knows. And still I'm hurt, because care without knowledge can fail a person completely. When it's over, he rests his forehead against mine and whispers, "I'm sorry." I tell him there's nothing to forgive. Neither of us knows what else to say. We lie apart and listen to the last buggy roll over the lane stones. Eli's breathing is uneven, and sometimes he clears his throat as though words are caught there. My legs feel heavy and far away. I turn slowly and watch a loose red thread on the blue and brown quilt. I pull it with my thumbnail until 3 neat stitches pucker. Eli asks whether I want water. He pours from the white pitcher, but the cup taps against the basin because his hand shakes, and water runs over them. "Was it supposed to?" he starts. Then nothing. Outside the door, the folded towel is still there. Miriam has placed a small cake of pink soap on top, worn thin in the middle. That ordinary soap frightens me more than anything, because it means she knew enough to prepare for pain, and wasn't free enough to prevent it. By morning, I'll walk downstairs with one hand on the rail, and everyone will know without anyone asking. The plain fact is that neither of us understood consent, readiness, or the working of a woman's body. Those words came later. That night, all we had was a rule. A husband leads, a wife yields, and silence keeps both pure. Eli believed my yes, because nobody taught him fear speaks politely. I believed pain proved I'd crossed into womanhood correctly. At breakfast, I served fried potatoes to 14 relatives, while Miriam watched from the sink. Mama glanced once at the towel under my arm, then turned the bacon. A look, a towel, breakfast. That was the whole checkup. He wasn't trying to hurt me. That's what makes it worse. The silence wasn't one cruel choice. It lived in sermons, wedding jokes, lowered eyes, useless advice, and women leaving towels outside doors. Years later, a counselor at the county clinic drew a simple diagram on pale green paper. She wore silver bird earrings that swung when she said, "Pain is not something you owe your husband." One clear sentence might have changed that night. Instead, we carried the silence into every night that followed. And every night that followed taught me a new way to leave without moving. I learned to count the rafters above our bed, 12 from wall to wall, with the 9th split down the middle like a crooked road. I would press my thumb into the soft place between my fingers and think about tomorrow's bread, tomorrow's washing, tomorrow's chickens scratching under the lilac hedge. By the time our first winter came, I could make my body still while my mind walked all the way to the frozen creek. Eli learned my silence as if it were peace. He'd ask, "You all right?" And I'd say, "Just tired," because tired was a word a good wife could use. We built a whole marriage out of words that meant something else. I got very skilled at disappearing. That's not a talent anyone puts on a wedding quilt, though perhaps they should have stitched a square for it. Dark blue, maybe. Easy to hide stains on. I loved him, and I dreaded the sound of him washing at the basin after supper. Both were true. He'd bring me the first ripe tomato from the garden, still warm from the sun, and later I'd listen for the scrape of his chair on the plank floor and feel my shoulders climb toward my ears. I made little rules to survive. Never let the lamp burn too low. Keep 1 foot outside the quilt. Think of hymn numbers instead of words. I learned to smile before he asked whether something was wrong. I would fold his shirts with the buttons facing up, because order made me feel less like I was floating. By our 2nd year, he thought I was shy. By our 3rd, I thought shyness was my nature. That's the thing nobody tells you. When you practice leaving yourself long enough, people begin to call the empty space your personality. The first woman who nearly told me the truth was Ruth, the girl who'd once asked whether a sick wife could say no. We were at a quilting bee in February, sewing a red star pattern for Bishop Amos's daughter. Snow tapped the windows like dry corn. Ruth pushed her needle through twice, missed the cloth the 3rd time, and whispered, "Do you ever go far away?" I knew what she meant before she finished. My mouth went dry. I said, "To town?" She looked at me for one long second, then bent over the quilt. Across the frame, Anna pulled her thread so hard it snapped. Nobody laughed. Nobody asked. But I saw Anna touch 2 fingers to her own wrist, the same place Mary used to rub, and I understood there were whole rooms inside these women where they went to be absent. I almost said, "Me too." Instead, I threaded Ruth's needle and handed it back. Anna's story came out in pieces during washing day, never in a full sentence. Her husband, Samuel, was kind in public and confused in private, which was how she put it. "He thinks quiet means yes," she said, while wringing a sheet over the galvanized tub. 7 words. Then Aunt Lena entered carrying bluing, and Anna changed the subject to soap. A week later, the minister's wife visited her and reminded her that marriage required patience. After that, Anna stopped coming to washing day. I saw her at meeting with a bruise-colored shadow under one eye. Not a bruise, just sleeplessness, I think. No, I'm sure. Samuel never struck her. She kept pinching the bridge of her nose to stay awake. The silence protected itself by turning every question into a lesson on endurance. Women who spoke were called troubled. Men who asked were told to pray harder. 4 months later, Anna was expecting her 3rd child and congratulated as if joy had answered everything. Years passed in the measured way farm years do. 1 lambing season, 1 harvest, 1 funeral at a time. I was 63 when I first saw the word consent printed beside a drawing of 2 hands. I sat in a county clinic after a dizzy spell, on a vinyl chair that stuck to the backs of my knees. A poster near the water fountain showed 2 circles, 1 green and 1 red, with words about boundaries, anatomy, and choice. The green circle said, "Freely given." The red one said, "Fear is not agreement." I read that line 3 times. My left hand began to shake so badly the paper cup crumpled, and water ran into my shoe. The nurse asked whether I needed sugar. I said no. Then the counselor with the silver bird earrings sat beside me and drew the same circles on pale green paper. She said, "Your body can say no, even inside marriage." My chest felt as if a locked door had opened inward. I wasn't angry. Not then. I was sad in a way that made my bones feel old all at once. I thought of the girl in the cream nightgown staring at the black knot in the ceiling, trying so hard to be good that she mistook fear for failure. She deserved 1 plain sentence before that door closed. Eli deserved it too. He had been taught that kindness meant moving slowly, not asking freely. We were both prisoners of the same silence, though the walls pressed harder on me. And then she, the girl I was, "Sorry, give me a second." I could see her hands on that quilt, neat little hands with flour still caught under one nail, and I wanted to reach backward through 50 years and tell her she wasn't cold. She was afraid. That's the thing nobody tells you. Sometimes the name for what happened arrives after the life built around it. What I grieved most wasn't one night. It was the chance that night might have been tender. I grieved the questions Eli never knew to ask, and the answers I never knew I was allowed to give. I grieved every time he saw me go still, and thought stillness meant trust. Once I tried to explain this to a woman at the library who'd grown up outside. She frowned kindly and said, "Why didn't you just tell him?" Her bracelet clicked against the desk, bright plastic beads spelling hope. I stared at that word, and couldn't find a bridge between her world and mine. In hers, words waited on the shelf for anyone to take. In mine, some words didn't exist until you'd already needed them for half a century. I left carrying 3 books I never opened. For a long time, I felt homeless in both places, too changed to return, too strange to be understood. And still, I won't lie about the beauty. I miss the sound of horses before dawn, hooves shifting in the dark barn, while their breath rose white around the lantern. I miss bread from the wood oven, the bottom crust nearly black, and Mama brushing flour from my cheek with the back of her wrist. I miss grandmother's hands when she prayed, the knuckles wide from work, one thumbnail split down the center, her voice low enough that the room had to lean toward her. Those are gifts. So is knowing how to mend a shirt until the tear disappears, and how to sit beside someone without filling every silence. I am homesick for a place that hurt me. I don't think that's weakness. I think the heart keeps its own odd pantry, jars of sweetness lined beside things that spoiled. But the harm had a name, silence dressed up as holiness. Beauty and harm can live in the same house, eat from the same bowl, sleep beneath the same handmade quilt. I don't have to burn the whole house down to tell you which room locked from the outside. These days, I teach my granddaughters the names I never had. I tell them their bodies belong to them, that love asks, that fear can answer before the mouth does. I still sing the old hymns while snapping beans. I still cover bread with the towel Mama embroidered in blue thread. And I still think tenderly of Miriam in that hallway, holding the folded towel because it was the only language she had. She knew more than I did, but not enough to set either of us free. I wish someone had set her free too. If you grew up somewhere your own body was kept from you like something dangerous, I see you. You survived something, and surviving is enough. You are not broken because you froze, obeyed, stayed, left, or needed years to find the words. Your body was trying to carry you through a room nobody had taught you how to enter. And maybe you still love the people who failed you. That doesn't erase the harm. Maybe you miss the food, the songs, the smell of rain on the lane, and feel guilty for missing any of it. You don't have to choose one truth. You can mourn what hurt and ache for what was beautiful. Both can sit beside each other. So can you. You're allowed to carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other, without apologizing for either. To the one still inside, your questions don't make you disloyal. To the one who left, missing home doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. To the one thinking about leaving, fear isn't proof you should stay. To the one married and only now realizing why your body goes quiet, you're not too late. To the one who recognized herself 3 minutes ago, breathe slowly and put both feet on the floor. There's no prize for understanding everything at once. I'm 80, and some truths still reach me, like letters sent to the wrong house and forwarded years later. Wherever you are in this, I see you, and you are not alone. The life you built around not knowing can still change, gently, without your whole world having to fall apart today. You can take this truth one small step at a time. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you felt listening to this, or the sentence you wish someone had given you before you needed it. There's so much more I haven't said yet. I'm just getting started. There are stories I haven't been brave enough to tell, but I'm getting closer, one plain word at a time. Subscribe to Rebecca Amish Home if you want to stay near these stories, not for spectacle, but so silence doesn't get the final word. And to the members and Super Chat family, you're the reason the next story gets told. If you want to be part of that, the door is always open. I used to think a closed door meant I had no choice. Now I know a door can open from either side, and sometimes the first hand on the latch is your own. You were never wrong for needing the truth.